Here we go. Episode number 1. I'm going to try to keep it quick and short. For anybody that's possibly listening, this is the Hindsight Podcast with yours truly, Zach Hines. Basically, I just wanted to make this podcast to kind of just talk shit, tell crazy stories, bring people on and talk about their crazy stories or experiences. And, I want to talk about a lot of drugs and just maybe issues going on in the world right now. So we'll push that aside for right now. We'll go ahead and push that aside. Something I want to do every once in a while is something I want to call story time. And that's where I'm basically just going to dive deep into the depths of my crazy fucking drug-filled past. I have a lifetime of stories and everything to keep people entertained and shit. So we're also going to talk about things going on in the world. I'm no politician or anything like that, but I do have Google, and Google is better than Fox. So, but anyway, the first thing I want to talk about really quick, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this picture of a kid laying on his side on a hospital bed, and he had a huge fucking spring just ejecting from his back. And I get curious, so I'm going in to read the story. It says, a 12-year-old boy has had a trampoline spring embedded into his back in a freak accident while playing with his friends. Jamie Quinlan, I think that's how you say his name, Jamie Quinlan from Louth in Lincolnshire was bouncing on a friend's trampoline on the weekend. That's what it would be. He was bouncing on a friend's trampoline on the weekend when a spring broke off and became embedded 2 inches in his back. That's fucking crazy. Said that he immediately collapsed from the shock of the pain. Jamie was rushed to the hospital, emergency surgery. And the kid said, when I was in the waiting room, I was really nervous. It took them about 10 minutes to actually get the spring out of my back. That is just crazy. And that shows right there. Be fucking careful. Jumping on trampolines, kids. You never know. You might end up with a spring in your fucking back. So, another thing I just wanted to say really quick. I'm seeing so many things on Facebook and all over the internet about Trump banning all flavored e-cigarettes, which is a stupid term. They're just vapes. Just call them vapes. I just would like to see anybody try to come to my house and take my vapes and take my guns. You can go ahead and try. This is no invitation or nothing, but I would really like to see someone try to come on my property and take my shit. I know, this is something people talk about every single fucking day now, but so yeah, I just wanted to give my opinion on that. I think the whole vape ban thing is fucking stupid. It's not going to work out because the only thing that is going to create is a whole black market for vapes, which already exists in places like the UK and other places that don't allow vaping. So it's not like vaping's going to go away. It'll just be a black market thing. It'll just turn into going to buy some meth. You know what I mean? You're just going to have to keep a low profile. You know what I mean? And there's going to be devices coming out now that hide your cloud and your smell and shit. I don't know what the fucking world is coming to. It's ridiculous. I don't think that another human being should be in charge of telling me what I can do with my body. Or they're all about supporting these things like, yeah, ban this, ban that, let's go ban this. They're all bad things. People shouldn't be able to do them until it comes time to ban the thing that you like. Now all of a sudden you're against banning things, and it's just, people are fake. People are not real. That's why I tend to stay out of politics. Who fucking cares? It's very depressing and boring, honestly, in my opinion. I don't really care about that shit. So Trump will be gone soon. Someone will assassinate him soon enough. So it'll be done and over with, and it'll be a meme for about a week or two, and then we're on to the next. If you could hear that, I'm drinking an iced coffee right now. I went way out of my way to go get a large iced coffee just so I could record this podcast. So, anyway, a little bit about me. I'm 27. I live in Missouri currently, which is really weird. I was born and raised in Washington State, so I'm used to the mountains and the ocean, the Puget Sound. I'm used to being able to go like right across the water to go, hang out in Seattle for a day or whatever. Seattle's got Hemp Fest, which is like the largest gathering of stoners in the world, and it's an amazing thing to be a part of. If you haven't, I highly suggest it. I mean, everybody's attitude, everybody's vibe, and just the aura that everybody just gives off at those kind of events is just, it's so welcoming, and you feel like you're part of a family. So I'm going to get off that anyway. But like I said, I was born and raised in Washington. And that's where 95% of all my experiences happened, because I've only been living in Missouri for the last 7 years. Some dumb shit like that, but 7 years. So I went down a really, really bad path when I was a child. And I say child, but I really started to take my first steps down that path when I was like 11, 12. That's when it all really started, with heavily smoking cigarettes and weed and shit like that. But I guess the craziest shit all really started, I ran away from home with a guy named Skyler. We were in junior high together, and I met him one day. He gave me a little bit of pot. We kind of hit it off. And this is after the fact that I have already ran away from home several times before. Went to Canada, snuck into Canada, all that. That's a whole nother episode of the podcast. But I ran away with this guy named Skyler. We ended up going to a famous footwear, and we swapped out our shoes, and I got a dope ass pair of Nike high tops. And I mean, the people that worked there knew. We were walking out with our brand new shoes as they walked right in and looked at us. About 30 seconds later, they come running after us. But this is after the fact. We went into Zoomies first, and we were just hanging out in the back, like where they have the skateboard decks and shit like that. You could put them together and grip a deck and all that. And there was only one dude working. So my buddy was over there trying to like distract him with clothes and shoes and whatnot. And I was in the back, and I took my pants off. I put on a pair of skinny jeans because I really wanted to wear skinny jeans at the time. I was a heavy skateboarder. So skinny jeans, I put them on. They're headed back to where I'm at. So I hurry up, rustle, put my jeans on over it. And like as soon as he walks up the steps, I button and slouch over the counter like I'm looking at something, and it was like perfect timing. I don't know how I didn't get busted, but then we left, went to Famous Footwear. That happened. We ended up running out of the mall. We were darting across the parking lot. Parking lot security was trying to chase us down in their little fucking Ford Escape with their little yellow lights on top and shit. It was so adorable. We cut through Red Robin's parking lot. We jumped over the highway, got to like a shopping center with like Ross and all those different areas. And I don't really remember what happened after that. I do remember being in this weird part of West Bremerton. Like, it was like downtown West Bremerton near one of the bridges. And we were walking around, we were getting drunk and getting stoned, and I was pretty fucked up at this point that I'm about to talk about. We were in this dude's backyard. We don't know whose backyard it was. We were just there, like, looking through stuff, jumping on a trampoline, which is ironic that I'm talking about that now, but jumping on a trampoline, just having fun, being drunk. And then we start to, like, walk out the backyard through the back gate on this little cement path. And we kind of, like, squeeze together to get through the door. We get through it, and he looks at me, kind of turns me sideways, looks at me, and he goes, "Man, have you ever, like, wondered what it's like to kiss a dude?" And I was fucked up, so I was like, no, why would I ever wonder that? I was like, I figured it'd be like kissing a dude if you think about it. And he was like, "Well, I'm just curious, man. Maybe we can make out a little bit and, see how we feel about it." And I was like, "Whoa, no, dude, nah. Nope, no thank you." I was like, I'm flattered. Because at this point, I figured out that he was bisexual. I don't know how I never figured it out before. So that, I was like, "No, bro, I'm flattered. I don't kiss dudes and I don't do shit like that." And he was kind of cool about it. He was like, "Oh, man, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable or anything. I just, I think you're fucking hella hot, man. And you're the homie and you're hot. I just figured it would be a perfect combination." And I was like, "What you just said is really weird. But besides that, I'm straight, my dude. I'm sorry, but we could still be friends." And he's like, "Yeah, just don't tell anybody that I asked you that, okay? Please don't." And I was like, "All right, well, whatever. Who fucking cares? Our little secret that you want to kiss me." So that was like my weird almost first experience with a dude trying to come on to me. Fucking strange. And that's not even where the story was going. It's just part of the story. So a lot more stuff happens that night. I don't really remember a lot. I remember being in a bush with a skateboard. I remember stopping by one of his friends' houses who was having like a little get-together party with all of his friends and stuff like that, and we kind of crashed it. I remember showing up just drunk as fuck, and like Skylar like walked straight past me to the kitchen, started talking to his friends, so I'm all alone at this point. I don't know anybody at this party. I don't know where I am. All I know is that I'm fucked up, and I look to my right, there's a fucking snack table. And that is immediately where my attention is directed, right to those fucking turkey rolls with mayo in the middle and a little bit of cheese. Oh, fuck. It was done. I might as well have just taken the whole fucking table. I was smashing that shit. Olives, radishes, motherfucking sausages and cheese and all this other fucking snack food. I devoured that shit. So, and I don't really remember what happened after that. I remember we were in some town pretty far away from where we were. I think we were in like Everett or Snoqualmie. I'm pretty sure we were in like Snoqualmie or something like that. We were getting pretty high in elevation because we were going to leave the state, just going to go and start something new, I guess. We really didn't have a plan. We were just teenagers just running away from home. So I remember being in like Snoqualmie and shit like that. And we got arrested for something so stupid. It was like a dine and dash, which is the second time I've been arrested for a dine and dash. But at this time, it was just me and Skylar. We went into, I think it was a Denny's or something like that. I'm pretty sure it was a Denny's. We went in, got seated, and we both knew that we weren't going to pay. So we took advantage of that. We were like ordering ribs, steaks. I even ordered a lobster tail. I don't eat lobster. It was like just aesthetically pleasing being on the table with my meatloaf. You know what I mean? And like chicken strips, we got those big fucking dishes of ice cream that come in those big stainless steel cups. We each got like 2 of those, fucking chicken sandwiches, burgers, a giant pile of fries to share. Where our whole table was just full of all this fucking food. And it was awesome. We ate not very much at all because we wanted to get out of there pretty quick. So we ate, and then we dipped. Like, we just walked out of the front door, and that was it. And I thought we got away because we got about a half mile down the street, I think. And then a cop pulls us over. Whoop, whoop. Just makes us go to this parking lot, and he gets out, and he's like, what have you guys been doing? Where have you been? You fit a description that we were just given on 2 kids who just ran out on their bill at Denny's. And we were like, yeah, we've been skateboarding because we had skateboards. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to need you to hop in the back of my car real quick just to make sure. So we both get in the back of his car. He drives down to Denny's, pulls in, and as soon as I fucking figured out what he was doing, I was super, super depressed because I knew I was getting arrested. He pulls us both out of the cop car and just makes us stand there for a minute. I guess the employees are looking out the window. They give him the thumbs up. He tosses us both back in the cop car with handcuffs on now. And he takes us to juvie, which was a very familiar place for me at the time. I show up, and as soon as I walk through the second set of intake doors, some of the pod officers, like Barry, he was like, what up, Mr. O'Toole? Because I used to go by Zachary O'Toole, but that was never legally my name. That was just what my family wanted my last name to be. So I'll go through intake. I get all my stuff. You know what I mean? I get to my pod. I see some of my friends in there, so it's not that bad. But I mean, this juvenile detention center it's not that hard, but it is the most locked down facility in Washington State. Out of all the prisons, out of all the jails and all the other juvies, this one is the most locked up, only because they don't give anybody their recreational time. You know what I mean? Like, you get a few minutes out of your cell, but you spend over 23 hours a day in your cell, unless they let you go to school. And you go to school for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then you just go right back to your cell. And sometimes we were able to come out and eat at like a big table with everybody else and just bullshit and congregate. You know, it got really loud. But, 85% of the time, they were just giving us our food in our cell. And I just remember going crazy. Like, I remember there was one time I didn't get to step foot out of my cell for fucking 3 days. They didn't let me shower. They didn't let me step foot out of my cell for 3 days because I was on a BA, which I'm assuming stands for Behavioral Assessment. I just felt like such a fucking animal. So kids, anybody listening, don't do anything fucking stupid to get yourself locked up. And if you're going to do something stupid, make sure that you don't get caught. I'm not saying go do anything stupid. I'm just saying don't be stupid when you're doing stupid shit. So anyway, I think I spent about 60 days. It was like 63 days in lockdown. I ended up changing pods a couple times, which was great because the second pod that I got moved to had like all my homies at the time. So it was a fucking chill ass pod. Barry was our pod officer. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but he used to sneak us a lot of shit in there, like candies, foods, other things. And he was the shit. So shout out Barry if he's anywhere or still alive. He was the fucking coolest pod officer. But anyway, I do 63 days, something like that, right? And before this, I'm living in my dad's home, right? Like, it's not like I'm just there to live. Like, I mean, he still fed us, but it was like He would go to work, come home, cook us a meal, give it to us, then go downstairs and then do his thing with his music the rest of the night. You know what I mean? So I never really had that with my dad, that connection or that great relationship. But that's for a whole nother episode. But anyway, so I did 63 days, some shit like that. I'm getting released. I go get all my stuff, and it's funny because the stuff that they give me to put on, my street clothes that I came in with, are all the clothes that I had just stolen. So my brand new shoes, my brand new skinny jeans, my brand new shirt and hat, and everything was stolen brand new. And when they handed that to me to put on, I felt so fucking good because I was like, hell yeah, I get to keep all this shit. They don't know nothing. So that was cool. And I'm walking down the hall. Take a right, get in an elevator, go up to the next floor, get out, walk down a hall a little bit, and there's like 3 glass double doors before you could get to the actual room where everybody's waiting to pick up their released children. And I could see through the glass and I see my mom. And that might not be weird, but at this point in my life, I hadn't seen my mom for like 3.5 years. Hadn't heard from her or seen her. I had no idea where she was or anything. And then she's just standing there as I'm getting released. So it was really fucking like, I was so confused and I did not understand what was happening. So I walked through the last door. My mom gives me, big embrace, like big hug. Oh my God, love, I love you. I haven't seen you so much, like tears, whatever. And so that, our little reunion, and then we start walking out to her vehicle, and she's got this little white pickup. It's a little Ford Ranger, just a little fucking like 1999 Ford Ranger, nothing special. And I hop in the passenger. She goes, look. Before she even started the car, she goes, look, buddy, you could either go back to school or you could work on my hot dog cart with me. And at this time, I'm a 14-year-old kid who hates school. So, of course, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go work on that hot dog cart with you, Mom. And she was like, awesome. And that was the last thing I ever fucking heard about the hot dog cart. So we cruise down the street a little bit. We go to homegirl's house, one of my mom's friends. Her name is Rhonda, also a meth head, but at the time I was completely oblivious to meth or anything. So they are talking in her little fifth wheel for a while. I'm just chilling in the truck. There's like a half cigarette in the ashtray, and I hadn't smoked a cigarette in fucking like 2 months. So I pull that bitch out. I start smoking it. I'm getting lightheaded. I feel so good. I'm getting my nicotine after all this time. And then my mom walks out and she goes, man, you smell like cigarettes. I was like, yeah, I was just around someone who just smoked a cigarette. And she was like, who? And I was like, some bald guy just walked by and had a cigarette. And she's like, you're a liar. I was like, yeah, I smoked. I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, look, if you need to smoke a cigarette, just let me know. She's like, I'll give you cigarettes. I just don't want you picking cigarettes out of the ashtray. She's like, you don't know who those could have belonged to. I was like, you got a good point. And then I was like, so can I have a cigarette? And she was like, yeah. And she gave me a half pack. So that was really weird because before that, when I was a kid, my mom always told me if she ever caught me smoking, she would beat my ass. Like, I remember her saying that, like, so vividly. She would beat my ass if she ever caught me smoking. So I always made sure that she never caught me, couldn't smell it, whatever, whenever I was around her. So the fact that she did that and gave me cigarettes was just fucking mind-blowing. So, we cruise and we're driving and she's telling me where we live and who she lives with and stuff like that. And we drive way out into the fucking woods. Like, we get on this dirt road, drive for a while longer, and then we pull into this driveway. And I mean, it's a dope little setup. It's like covered by trees and like these little trees and stuff, and fucking, it's just this little single wide trailer out deep in the fucking woods. in Port Orchard. And I was like, yo, this is dope. I can have my privacy and all this shit, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And me and my mom are standing in the kitchen just bullshitting, and she slams a half gallon of Jack on the counter. And I grab it all jokingly, and she goes, take a swig. And I was like, really? And she goes, yeah. So I'm trying to impress my mom, because at this point she's letting me smoke, and now she's letting me drink. So I fucking take a big mouthful, gulp it down, and realized what I had just done, because my throat was on fucking fire. But I could not let my mom know that, because I don't want my mom to be like, oh, quit being such a fucking pussy bitch. So I held it back, and I held it down, and she was like, that's my boy, like throwing up the fucking rock star fingers, like, that's my fucking boy, with her flared bangs and her fucking her musk for women and leather jacket. But so yeah, and then she went off and did her own thing in the bedroom for a little while, so that gave me some time to explore the house. So I was looking through some stuff on the coffee table. There's a bunch of open newspapers, which didn't really make sense to me. And I look at this one newspaper, and it's got a bunch of green shit in the crease. And I was like, what the hell? So I get closer, and I was like, oh, man, that's weed. I haven't seen weed in months. And to the left of the table is a pack of top rolling papers. So I grab a paper, I roll up a joint, and I hide it. I think I hide it underneath the tail or underneath the bumper of some S10 that was in the driveway. It's like a broken down truck, not going nowhere. I like hid it under the lip of the bumper, and fucking I don't really remember how someone found out that their weed was lost. Oh, it's because Sid. So after that, me and my mom dipped off to a small ferry terminal close by to go pick up her boyfriend. His name was Sid. S-I-D, Sid. Should have been Skid. Fucking Skid Mark, because the dude was a piece of shit. But we come back, we pick him up, I meet him, blah, 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 whatever. We come back to his house. Me and him are sitting on the couch. And my mom comes in, and she's like, I need to go for a little bit. I need to leave. I was like, okay, go do your thing. She said she needs to go to the store or whatever. I was like, okay. Sid was like, me and your boy will stay here and play video games. I was like, cool. So they leave. A little time goes by. Me and Sid are playing the new Mortal Kombat on Xbox, and I'm fucking kicking his ass. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he brings out a glass pipe packed with a nice fresh bowl. And I was like, oh, man, he's going to smoke. And I just got to sit here and watch him smoke. And he takes a hit with the barbecue lighter. He takes a hit, passes it to me. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, man, I asked your mom. And she said, just to make sure that I don't get you too stoned. And I was like, are you kidding? So at this point, my mom now lets me smoke cigarettes. She lets me drink alcohol. And now she's letting me smoke weed. So me and Sid get hella baked off this one bowl, because at that point I hadn't smoked in a while, so my tolerance is like really, really low. So we smoke, baked as fuck, but I still understand what I'm doing with the video game. I'm beating the shit out of Sid, and he's getting so frustrated. Fuck! Stop hitting me! What are you doing? My God! It was just so funny. He didn't win a single match, and he got frustrated, and he told me I was cheating, but whatever, that's the end of that story. My mom ends up coming home, and I could tell something was off with her just by the way her eyes were, and like the way she smelled, and like the way she like was carrying herself, her body movements. And she came and she sat on my lap, which was weird. I was like, my mom does not sit on my lap. And she grabs my face, looks at me, and she's like, hey, buddy, you real stoned? I was like, yeah, I'm fucking high. And it was really weird, because that is the first time I had ever been high around my mom. So it was fucking awkward. And she hands me a pack of cigarettes, and I was like, thank you. That's fucking awesome. And then she hands me a half ounce of bud. a half ounce of this dank ass fucking bud. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, well, at first I tried to reach in and just take a nug. And she goes, no, just have it all. And I was like, you don't want any? This is yours. She goes, I don't even smoke pot. And at that moment, I was like, something's wrong here because you look fucking high on something, but you don't smoke pot. It really got me thinking. But anyway, they went to bed that night. There was more people over, but they all went to bed. I had basically where I slept was on the couch in the living room. It was small too, because at the time I was like 6 foot. And it was only one of those 2 people like love seat couches. And I had to like cram my fucking knees up into my chest and fucking crank my fucking head down to my chest just to sleep on this couch. So it was very uncomfortable. I had all my clothes behind the back of the couch and it was just kind of uncomfortable. But at the time I was cool. I didn't care. So the next morning I wake up and I'm rolling a cigarette because I got the empty tubes, tobacco, and the little rolling machine. I'm rolling a cigarette. I get it rolled, light it up. My mom comes out. She's like, takes it from me. She goes, oh, what is this, joint? And I was like, no, it's a cigarette. And she just hands it back. And then she goes back to the bedroom. 5-10 minutes pass. I'm just sitting there just zoning off into space. And my mom and some dude she has over hollers at me to come back to the back room. And I was like, all right, I'll come back there and go back there. And they're like, shut the door. So I shut the door. And I sat on the edge of the bed, crisscross, just like my mom. I sat right next to her. And I was like, what's up? What's going on? And the dude that was sitting across from us, like he was like a hippie dude, like in his mid-30s, hippie kind of guy. He pulls out like a Play-Doh container and pulls out a fat nug and just like starts crunching it into his bowl piece of his pipe. And then he takes a little puff, passes it to my mom. She takes a little puff. And I started to get butterflies. I was like, what the fuck is going on here right now? Why did you guys invite me back here to watch you smoke? And then my mom takes a hit. And then she passes it to me. And I grab it like really slow and like confused. And then she hands me the lighter. And I was like, just looking at both of them like, are you sure this is okay? So it was, and I took a hit, and my mom like looked at me and smiled, and she goes, my boy, first bowl with my boy. And like she seriously like started to tear up a little bit, which was weird. You know what I mean? That's not something you think your parent would tear up about, like, oh, the first time I get to smoke weed with my baby boy. Like, it's just funny to me. I mean, it's normal for me because that was my life, but like thinking about it from a different point of view, it would be a little different. It just seems funny. And yeah, I got baked as fuck that morning. We smoked a huge bowl. And I went back out to the living room. I lay down on the couch, super baked, and I turned on Grandma's Boy. And I watched that movie just in the time I lived at Sid's house. I watched that movie, no shit, at least 500 times. I know every fucking line, every single fucking thing that happens in that movie, just from being high and bored. So, but yeah, that was the first day out with my mom. That was my first day out of jail. It was just different. When she picked me up, okay, so my audio cut out, apparently. That's awesome. But anyway, yeah, that was my first day out of jail and my first day with my mom in years. It was really weird, just the way we went about things. Like, looking back at it now, there's so many signs I should have picked up on, but and something else I need to cover really quick. The reason my mom did come and pick me up in the first place is because, I'm not gonna lie, I was a piece of shit teenager. And it's probably the same for a lot of other kids, but I was a serious piece of shit. Like, I stole from my dad. And he went to extreme lengths to keep me out of his shit, but I still was, persistent. I was just a dick. And I deserved a lot worse. But when I got locked up that time, I guess my dad contacted my mom and was like, look, I'm tired of dealing with this shit. I can't anymore, He's got 2 other little kids in the house to think about. I totally understand. So he was probably like, look, he's getting out of jail, this time, this date. You go pick him up and, you can have him and see how that goes. So, and that's that day that I saw my mom and I went off with her. That started an entire life of fucking crazy, weird, scary, exciting, fun adventures that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I do have to thank my mom for that. You know what I mean? I have no hard feelings for anything that we went through in the past, and I have no regrets about it either. So, and I hope she feels the same way. So, but anyway, my first episode recorded, done, under the belt. I'm going to do a lot more episodes like this with a little story time thing with a lot of my personal experiences and stories. If anybody wants to reach out and be on the podcast, just reach out. You could hit me up on Facebook or on Instagram at Zach Nasty, ZVCHNVSTY. Hit me up. Let's figure something out. But until then, this has been a Hindsight Podcast, and I hope all you fuckers have an amazing day.